time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
And good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It is 8 o'clock, and it is time for episode 347 of the Ron and Brian podcast. As you will notice, it is just me, Ron, here this week. Where Brian's at? Anybody's guess. The podcast does not seem to be front of mind for him. He doesn't seem to be all that interested in making himself available. So we are going to do a best of this weekend in the hopes that maybe next weekend Brian will be back. I don't know. You know, people say for someone who wanted to be champ so badly, he has certainly disappeared because he did not get the belt. This belt right here over my shoulder. But today we are going to do the best of Ron and Brian. We are going to play some of our interviews that we have done over the years. We do on occasion. We'll have guests in from time to time. And so we picked three of our favorite interviews over the past few years. This first one is going all the way back to episode 255 when we interviewed Amber LeMay, who is a drag entertainer and founder of New England's longest performing drag troupe, the House of LeMay. She stopped in to have a chat with Ron and Brian. We start off with a clip of her live show, and then we'll talk to Amber LeMay. So enjoy.
Amber Live, the drag queen comedy talk show. Famous guests like Bruce Valanche, Carol Baskin, John Fetterman, Tammy Brown, Mrs. Kasha Davis, Charles Bush, Hal Sparks, and many more. And comedy from Rusty Peen, Lucy Bell LeMay, Dwayne Scott Cerny, Cousin Craig, Boog and Shug, our producer Russell, Emoji Nightmare, Cousins Crystal and Bones, and Rocco Zamboni. Catch it all on youtube.com/Amber Live. And don't miss our incredible social media channels on TikTok and Instagram. Amber LeMay Live, the Larry King of drag queen comedy talk shows. Now with better legs. Don't forget to subscribe.
And welcome to the Ron and Brian podcast, Amber LeMay.
Well, thank you so much. I haven't been with two such handsome men in a long time.
Well, thank you very much. Can you guess which
I'm blushing.
one of us is the
I'm
older
blushing
one?
now.
We don't talk age.
All right, fair enough. So a lot of interesting topics that you were able to talk upon, but the one thing that jumped out at me the most is your top 5 ways to use maple syrup that aren't for eating.
Was this show rated PG by any chance?
You can use whatever language you like.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Well, but other than eating, well, you know, it sticks. It's an adhesive. You can use it as an adhesive.
Okay.
And that could be for like art crafts, crafts that you have, or possibly, if there's someone that you want to attach yourself to, you could do that as well. So think about that.
Okay.
It's a little hard to get out of the sheets, though. You might have to dispose of the sheets in another way.
That is true. I'm in the hotel industry, and when people get that room service and they get the syrup on the sheets, very difficult, very, very sticky.
Yes.
So tell us, how did you kind of give us your history? How did you get into drag?
Well, it was over 30 years ago. My friend Mike Hayes and I were wanting to perform more. We were in a cabaret group as guys with some women and raising money for good causes such as Vermont Cares, which is the AIDS resource organization. But we wanted to do more. And we went to a drag show in Burlington, Vermont. And drag was fairly new. At Halloween, there was always messes and dresses. But there was 2 performers, Cherry Tart and Yolanda, who put an act together. And the audience really liked them. And I looked to Mike and I go, we could do that. And he says, I've got a degree in costume design. I said, well, I'm pretty funny. I could write words and jokes for us. And so that's how we started. We started as the Sisters LeMay. And with our accompanist, Craig Hilliard, who's still with us today, 30 years later, and our good friend, Cindy Zook, we performed. And we were having so much fun with our shows that other people said, hey, can we join you? Can we be in your show? And so we went from the Sisters LeMay to the House of LeMay because we just expanded our troupe. And we've been doing it ever since. And over the years, we've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars and awareness for a wide variety of charities and organizations around Burlington, Vermont.
All right,
Interesting. Now, you're mostly focused now as an online show.
Yes. Well, do you remember what happened back in March of 2020? Does that ring a bell?
Vaguely. We may have talked about it a time or two.
Yeah. Well, Burlington closed down on March 16th of 2020. And on March 22nd, I started my first show. At first, It was Ask a Drag Queen. I didn't know. I said, Russell, I want to do something on Facebook. People are doing live things. How do I do that? He goes, well, you just click on the link and you start talking. And so that's what I did. And the first couple were kind of rough. I had the laptop sitting on my lap in my living room. The lighting's not good. It's bouncing up and down. But after a couple of weeks, Russell Dreher, my producer, said, I think we have something here. Let's expand it. Let's work on a set for you, some lighting, and let's get some guests. And so then we started talking to local people, mostly local performers, local business owners, and entertainers, finding out what they were doing, how they were surviving the lockdown. And then Russell, being in New York City, for over 20 years, knew a lot of people in the entertainment business there. So he started reaching out to them. And so we kind of broadened our appeal broadened our guest list. And we've done 148 episodes since then. Now, if you take the number of Sundays since March 20th today, there's not a whole lot more than 147. We've been pretty productive. Yes.
Now we're also usually on Sunday nights at 8:00. I was just wondering now, were you intentionally attempting to take our audience? Because I feel there's a lot of overlap. And was it a direct blow that you wanted to say, hey, after you, Ron and Brian, your audience will be mine? Because that's what Ron was telling me.
Well, Ron, that's not very nice.
Sorry.
To think that a drag queen would be so diabolical like that. No, we just found Sunday was convenient at the time, and we kind of stuck with it. And we've done 85 to 90% of our shows live on Sunday, but sometimes people aren't available, and so we do pre-recorded interviews as well, as I'm sure you do too.
Yes. Sure. So now you're based out of Vermont, which on a whole seems like kind of a progressive state, but I've also been in parts of Vermont that are just downright frightening. How does Vermont respond to the drag community?
That's one thing that I'm very proud of. What I and my troupe have done in the past 30 years is I believe we have made Vermont a safer place for expression of gender, expression of entertainment. As I mentioned earlier, started the experience with Mike Hayes. Well, 4 years ago, Mike had a stroke, and he was no longer able to perform with us. And so I didn't do any shows. We made appearances, but I didn't do any shows without Mike because I just didn't feel right being on stage without my sister. And then 3 weeks ago, Mike passed away from a heart attack. And you would not believe the outpouring of love, affection, and awareness, appreciation that we received from his passing. I got a lovely note from our Congressman, Becca Ballant. It's just amazing, the outpouring. The local weekly newspaper immediately put something online, a beautiful story. Vermont Digger, which is a viral news organization, did a great story, not an obituary, a news story about beloved drag queen Marguerite LeMay's passing away. And that just says a lot, I think. And that's because we never just performed it for the gay community. We always reached out and invited everybody to our shows and worked for other organizations. Like we did one show for the Edmonds Middle School drama department, and we called them the Future Drag Queens of America. And they loved it. The Vermont City Marathon, every year we're at the corner of Cherry and Church Streets directing traffic. And so we're seen by thousands of people and so people are aware of us. And a couple of weeks ago, we were asked to do to MC a benefit in Fairfax, Vermont. Now, Fairfax, Vermont is a town of under 5,000 people. in the middle of nowhere. And we were asked to MC this a fundraiser for a child needed a service dog. So they're doing like a talent show to raise money. And we said, okay, we know a few people in Fairfax, so we think we're pretty good there. Well, we get dressed up. We drive up to Fairfax. We pull in the parking lot, and there's this big pickup truck with all we see is a big flagpole sticking out the back of it. I went, oh, shoot. What are we getting into? Well, all of a sudden, the wind picked up, and it was a Bacardi flag from Bacardi. I said, okay, I think we're safe.
You're amongst your people.
Yeah.
So they welcomed us. They couldn't have been more gracious. And at one time during the show, I had a microphone, and I said, I've talked to a lot of drag queens from all over the country about what's happening to them at this time in our country. And I said, if this was happening in other parts of the country, there would have been Proud Boys in the parking lot threatening you as you entered the building.
Right.
And you could just hear gasps from the audience. And after I got finished, I got a standing ovation. And then as we were leaving, people just hugged us and thanked us so much. And that just really did a lot for me, thinking, yes, we've done good, and this is the Vermont State motto is freedom and unity. And I said, this is freedom and unity right here.
Well, and one thing we talk about almost on a weekly basis now, and you kind of touched on it there, you kind of get used to, the type of ignorance that comes from the hate groups in this country, but we're seeing it more on the political spectrum now. It seems the drag community is under attack in a number of red states. And yet every week, we're reading stories about, police officers getting sentenced for child pornography. The
church leaders,
the Baltimore diocese, with 600 plus, cases of child abuse, politicians resigning because of sexual harassment and things like that. Teachers having sex with
coaches.
their students.
Yes.
From your perspective, where does the drag community go from here? Because it's not going away, and nor should it. No. How does it mobilize and fight back in these areas of the country that are being as ignorant as they seem to want to be at this point?
Well, for the past several months, I've been highlighting those other people who are the groomers and the molesters. And I just started a new segment last week called Altercations, highlighting all the church people who are being not accused, but
I like it.
Arrested and sentenced to it for such hideous crimes. Sure. And I always ask, I said, I know there has to have been a drag queen here or there who did something bad and stupid and was arrested. But show me. You Google Texas church sex crimes and see what happens. Then Google Texas drag queen sex crimes.
Sure.
And all you'll get is the accusations. You won't get any solid facts or any names coming up. And that just has to be reiterated. And I think drag queens have to be out more. I think they need to be a part of the community more and not just be on stage in the gay clubs. I think they need to be, not necessarily out on the street protesting, but I think, to be an example of us, but be a part of the whole community, not just a part of the GLBTQ plus community.
No, agreed. And, it just seems like one thing, whether it's drag queens, whether it's trans rights, I think hitting the kids young, in middle school to what you did, I think, people need to, I think the younger that you can teach a child that it's okay to be different.
Sure.
That's the most valuable, to me, the most valuable piece of information you can give someone. And yet, it's so amazingly frustrating to see politicians and school districts try and pack that away and try and pack away critical race theory and everything else. And it's like, it seems like we came so far up to a certain point, and now we're starting to take steps backwards.
One time, a mother came up to me and said, my young son asked who you were and why you were dressed that way. And I said to him, well, you like to play dress up, don't you? And the little boy goes, yeah, that's what they're doing. They're playing dress up. And I thought that was just a nice way of putting it, not getting into the gender identity or sexuality of anything, but just saying, we're playing dress up. We're having fun. And I think that was really nice. Yeah, you go up to people and they're against CRT. Ask them what it is.
Right.
They don't know.
Ask them. Ask them.
They won't know.
Give examples of it, and they don't. They can't. Ask them for examples of anything or the books that they want to ban. Ask them how many they've read of those books.
Right.
None. They haven't. They just heard that they're bad and they have to be taken away. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and it comes from a small vocal minority of people who are scared. They're very scared that their way of life, they're no longer going to be the white people in charge of the country. And that scares them. They're afraid that the minorities are going to treat them the way they've been treating the minorities.
Sure.
And so it's just, people are, thank God they're dying out. They are going to be dying out soon. There's always going to be some pockets, but
Sure.
I think the majority of the voters that vote that way are dying off.
What's truly scary seems to be is that there's such a movement amongst in the South and amongst the right to really go after education. It's like their platform seems to be let's try to educate as little as possible, because that will somehow be for the betterment of society, to have people as ignorant about facts and about different perspectives. It's scary.
Well, if they're not learning things at school, they're only going to learn what their parents teach them.
Sure.
And they're not going to learn to think, oh, there's another way of looking at things. Oh, I didn't know that happened. And if they're not taught that, then they're going to remain ignorant. That class of people is just going to remain ignorant. And the school system, they want the parents to pick the curriculum. I'm sorry. I come from a long line of educators. I think my family educators can pick out books better than Ma and Paul Yokel.
It's so scary.
Now, get into a more positive topic. Your show, Amber Live, started as a local Vermont internet production, and it has since grown into an international presence.
Yeah.
How has that happened?
Persistence. That first year and a half, didn't have anything else to do. So, I was working from home with my real job, and we were able to reach out to more people. And the more people we had on our show, I'm sure you've had this, they'll go, hey, I've got a friend you might want to talk to. Or, I think I can find someone else for you to talk to. And so that has really helped, the word of mouth. And I think the diversity of my guests has really helped as well. One day it could be like Senator John Fetterman or Bruce Valanche, or Jay Rodriguez has been on the show, and but it's also been small authors or doctors talking about different health issues that pertain mainly to the gay community, but it's a broader appeal as well. And I also do some humor. I try to put some humor in it as well, as you can tell from the trailer.
Sure.
Yes.
We're not always successful. We try to put humor in there.
We try. Well, we Ron is from the Pennsylvania area. I like to call it the area of Pennsylvania. You mentioned John Fetterman. He is somebody that we have spent quite a bit talking about, especially, during his early campaign, through his, election, and now with his mental health struggles. What was interviewing him like?
Oh, I interviewed him when he was still lieutenant governor, and he hadn't quite announced his Senate, but you knew he was going to. And he and his wife couldn't have been more charming, more pleasant. She's a spitfire. People need to get hold of her and guide her, because she could do a lot. She's a great talker. And but he was very open, and here they got married here in Burlington, Vermont, and they come back every 5 years. And so that was a nice to talk to. And also on the show that night was Hal Sparks. You might remember Hal Sparks from Talk Soup and all those other things. Well, he and Mrs. Fetterman just got along together, and they talked for like a half hour just about Pittsburgh, because their connections with Pittsburgh, and that was a lot of fun. But no, John Fetterman, good for him. I'm glad he waited till after he was elected to get help, because I think that would have really put a damper on his chances of being elected. But I think he's going to be a great spokesperson for mental health.
And I think even if he never casts a vote in the Senate, just him keeping Dr. Oz out has done a tremendous service to the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how can people connect with you? What's the best way to follow Amber LeMay out there?
Well, Amber LeMay live at gmail.com. Amber LeMay or Amber Live TV.tv is there. Or Google me, Google Vermont Drag Queen and I'll show up. All over the place.
All right. Any live performances scheduled right now or?
Not live. We've been doing performances.
Right.
I'm going to be a judge at Dancing with the Burlington Stars. It's a takeoff on the TV show. It's the third year I've been a judge for that. It's a benefit for the Vermont visually blind and visually impaired. It's held at the Flynn Theater, which is a 1,400-seat old Art Deco theater. I've done it 2 years now. It's just a great show, and I really enjoy that. And just doing some other personal appearances. We haven't gotten around to doing any live shows yet.
All right, fantastic.
All
Well,
right.
we definitely appreciate you taking the time to stop by here on the Ron and Brian podcast, and please keep in touch.
Thank you very much, boys. If you're ever in Vermont, look me up.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, a great interview from Amber LeMay, and actually, part of the reason we do the "But the Drag Queens Are the Problem" segment, which obviously we have not found any drag queens that have been a problem. We found a lot of other educators, parents, politicians, police officers, and so on that are the problem, yet to find a drag queen that is a problem. Another interview that we liked was back going to episode 249. We had Skylar Schock on. She is an actor, comic writer, and producer. Her most recent projects were a role in the TV movie For the Love of Lily, and also appearing in an episode of Class Acts. She stopped by to have a chat with Ron and Brian. Let's check out some of her stand-up and then see the interview with Skylar Schock.
And I love a bachelorette party. I do. I love them. It's kind of like competing on a mini season of Survivor. Because a group of women gets transported to a seemingly beautiful, but actually very hostile location. We will put our bodies through hell. We will form and break strategic alliances, and secretly, everyone is thinking about fucking Jeff Probst.
All right, and welcome to the show, Skylar Schock. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And Brian will be ashamed to admit this, but he often thinks of fucking Jeff Probst as well.
I was going to say, or are you a multi-time bachelorette party attendee? Either one, I could see being ashamed of.
I get very intimidated by the whole Bachelor and Bachelorette series. There's just too much going on. There's too many personalities. And I also realized that if I were ever the Bachelor, I would just wither within minutes.
I mean, well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the Bachelor and the Bachelorette series are a whole other beast of just time and commentary. But I do think it is more of their test to be influencers on social media. It's kind of their gateway drug, as it were.
I think, Brian, you can't be on The Bachelor because you just don't like having your shirt off. And that appears to be a requirement for everybody that appears on those shows.
I am a fan of very tight necklines. Skylar, I see you've got a loose sweater. Oh, don't stretch out the sweater.
Don't worry.
Okay. You've got, see, she knew. Ron, she knew that you like the loose and the neckline. I like it high and tight. I like it high and tight. She's rocking both worlds.
I want to split the difference there. So there you go.
We appreciate it.
So Skylar, you're also involved in a company called Messy Bun Productions. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually, Messy Bun Productions is a company I formed with one of my colleagues from University of California, Los Angeles. So when I was in LA, Kayla and I, we were in a program together there. I was in the acting program. She was in the writing program. And we decided to start producing some of the stuff she was writing. And so we founded Messy Bun Productions. And through that, we've actually created a few projects that we're in production on. We've sent one project off to the film festival circuit. It went on to be a 25-time selection. I was directed by Getty Watanabe, actually. If you are a fan of 16 Candles, you might know who he is.
Excellent. So what made you get into stand-up comedy and acting? What was kind of your path to here?
So stand-up comedy for me is actually the thing that I never once thought about doing. I was never like, I think I'm going to go try to be a stand-up. I just happened to, enjoy comedy. And I never thought I was funny, but other people would say that I was funny. And at UNLV, which is where I'm at now, I'm getting my master's degree in performance. And so we had to take a class in stand-up comedy. So all of us are in this class, and it's all about writing and learning kind of the structure of joke writing. And I just started going to some of the open mics before the end of the semester to test out my material. And the feedback was actually really surprisingly positive, which is, probably not what most comics, I think their goal is like, I'm going to go up there and I think I'm so funny and I'm going to go, and I just was like, oh, well, this is, my way of kind of writing for basic bitches, which is really kind of what I do. I joke that I am just the everyday basic bitch who loves to go to Target, and we love a cold brew from Starbucks, but it's really, comedy is just a matter of like having a relationship with the audience and kind of being able to test out and structure your stuff. And the more I did it, the more I really kind of fell in love with it. And now I feel really lucky that I get to go and do it and learn from people way better than I am, and keep kind of growing and learning in performing.
If I can ask, what is the comedy scene in Las Vegas like?
So
for a Las Vegas comic, as opposed to somebody coming in off the road.
So Vegas is an interesting city for comedy because we have, I feel like, you can't quote me on it, but I feel like we have one of the highest per capita of comedy clubs. Like, we just have all the clubs on the Strip. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of places here in Vegas that do comedy. And so there's a great opportunity to be doing comedy and kind of owning your craft. And there's definitely like a very local Las Vegas comic scene. But because we're so close to LA, we get a lot of people that come in from LA. A lot of people who are headlining comics, traveling road comics, will come stay here and stop by. So you're really exposed to a lot of different comics that maybe, if you're in Atlanta, maybe you're not getting that many different comics coming in. And the scene is, it's still a game. So, you never want to say anything to hopefully offend anyone. But I have noticed that there's a difference between being, good in this community and being a good stand-up comic at a, more national level, or, being the kind of comic that can go and open. And, I went and did a show at the Comedy Store in La Jolla a couple weeks ago, and you just see there's a very different standard of kind of what it takes to be a comic, maybe in a market like Los Angeles or New York versus here in Vegas.
So what is it like going to school in Las Vegas? Because we Brian and I went to college in a small town in upstate New York and had a hard enough time focusing as it was. How is it possible to focus on studies when you literally have distractions 24/7?
Well, it's a fascinating learning curve, right? No pun intended. But because you basically know that every single possible thing is available here, where you can be going to see live music, you could be partying, you could be, sports. Literally, we've got everything here. And yet it's also a very, it's all concentrated on the Strip. And so it's not like a place like the greater city of Las Vegas and the surrounding neighborhood is a very different experience. I actually think it's probably much more conservative than I was expecting when I, moved out here. I moved in 2020. So it was right before the election. And so it was really, I'm from California. My whole life I've been like, oh, there's a whole community of people that are actually driving around with Trump flags in their cars. So it's an odd place in that you've got a little bit of everything and everyone's coming in, and there's a million tourists visiting all the time. Anytime your friends and family are in town, they want to go do all of this stuff. And you're like, sure. I don't want to touch the Strip with a 10-foot pole if I can avoid it. But it's just like anywhere else where once you've kind of gotten to see what the cool stuff is, it's there, and you're not like constantly needing to go out and do it per se. Whereas I almost feel like it'd probably be more fun to go to college in a small town where you get to like, it's just like you get to live and it's not always like, okay, I think I'm going to go do this today or go out and, you know, this concert's Adele's here this weekend. We have to go see Adele or whatever, you know.
So speaking of visiting Las Vegas, your thoughts on visiting Las Vegas in July, bad idea or horrible idea?
I would say horrible times 10. I mean, although right now what you wouldn't even know that we're on the way to spring. It's literally raining and stormy out. So who's to say what this July will be like? But it is. I joke with my friends, like when I first moved here, it was in August and I knew mentally what I was getting into. And I drive up and the thermometer on my car is like 116. And it's like there's no way I hate it. There's no way to prepare for it until you are here. But visiting, I'd say come in November.
My friend Brian over here turned 50 last July and said,
"It's my birthday.
I want to spend my 50th birthday weekend in Las Vegas with my friends." And
you did it?
Oh yeah, we came out.
Yes, we did.
We stayed at the Virgin Hotel. We went to a nice dinner at the Golden Steer. And you think you're prepared for the dry heat of 120 degrees, but it was also humid that week. Every car taxi we got in, they were like, "Oh yeah, you picked a real bad time to come to Las Vegas."
Yeah. The worst. So there was no winning. So you stayed at Virgin. Did you guys go out and do anything outside, or were you like, we're staying inside the entire rest of the trip?
We spent a lot of time in the pool.
Yeah.
Day drinking in the pool. I believe that my shoulders were burnt for about 5 weeks. Apparently when there is no amount of sunscreen that you can put on your body that will protect you from a July sun in Vegas.
Yeah.
What did we do? We saw Daniel Tosh. He performed that was good. And then what else did we do?
We did a lot of pool time.
A lot of pool time. Yeah,
double drinking because of the sun.
Oh yeah.
See, that's the other thing. When you're in your late 40s or 50s, it's at 10 o'clock you're winding things down. Even though you're in Vegas and you're sitting and you're like, oh, we're gonna rage tonight. We're at the craps table till 2 a.m. No. At about 10:30, people in the party just like, I think it's
gonna get a nice cup of decaf and hit my room.
Yeah.
Slowly, which is nice in Vegas because you can just pretend you got lost and you make your way back to the room and no one asks questions.
Absolutely. I never thought of that actually.
No, you'll know for next time.
Yes.
All right. Be in Vegas again.
Yes.
The Irish goodbye works best at the casinos. No one, because you're just going to go to the bathroom and then somehow you find yourself back in the room.
Now, we were going to cover this story later, but since you're in comedy, we'll ask you this question. Have you heard about the new anti-woke comedy club that Joe Rogan is opening up?
I have heard a little bit about it. I mean, I feel like it was a little bit of a when is that happening versus being surprised that it's happening.
Right.
And I've heard too, has it been confirmed? Is it going to be in Austin?
It's in Austin,
Texas. It'll be $900 a ticket, they're saying, which that has not been confirmed. So
they apparently 900.
Yeah. So they'll take your phone. You'll have to lock up your phone so you can't record anything, and they will also scan your face. So if you say anything, I guess afterwards, they can kind of track you down. But it seems like the antithesis of like what comedy is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. It reminds me of The movie, The Menu, where it's like, it's essentially, it's its own parody of what it's trying not to be. I mean, anytime you're going to charge people $900, like who's coming to that anyway? Like there's no way you can be, I mean, people will go because it's Joe Rogan's name attached to it. But I mean, I think that's one of the things about being in comedy that is, I found the most satisfying is that you get to watch people play with the boundary a little bit or play with, and a lot of times, like if you go to an open mic, for example, there's a lot of comics who are not seasoned and who are just saying what they think is funny. And it's oftentimes very non-woke. And you see that like sometimes people will laugh at it and they there's almost a danger of creating this hive mind of people that are laughing at something in a community and then not being checked on it, because it's sort of like it's its own little microcosm. But for me, the best part is when you can say something and the entire room laughs, and now you're seeing where people actually have this share a point of view about something, or they're laughing because, you know. And so when you kind of, that's when comedy, I think, is at its best. And so when you sort of start to put boundaries and rules around it, it sort of feels a bit like it's you know, it's taking away from the point of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it feels like he's creating an echo chamber, which is really
Correct. That's the word I
where
was
comedy
thinking.
goes to die.
Yeah,
Well.
exactly. And it also feels like if you know, as we would say in comedy, right? Like if you say something or you have to do something and you have to qualify it, then was it really funny, right? Like if you have to be like, well, this is funny for this audience, but not this audience.
Right.
Then is it actually the thing that you think it is? Or are you just saying something other people want to hear and they're happy to hear it back?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, Joe, he probably needs the money. I mean, he's scraping by on
he's barely making it. Yeah.
few $100 million. I mean, how is he gonna survive? He's got to stay on whatever that mind pill is that he takes. I see it pop up on my Facebook, but I forget what it is. It'll
pop up again.
Now I'm just
yeah.
to be inundated with it. So.
Yeah, and mine too. The algorithm.
Yeah, now it's on yours and mine.
Thanks for that.
Anytime. Brian likes perverting all of my algorithms, so now you've gotten a little taste of that as well.
That's so funny. It is a fun game. The other day we were talking about, I had made some reference to I should start going to conferences for, you know, networking or something, and all of a sudden it's like, Jason Sudeikis will be speaking at this, and it's like nothing to do with me. And you're like, how does it? It's insane. How
they're listening. They are definitely listening.
Absolutely.
I wish Brian was only forwarding me information about conferences versus what he sends to pervert my For You page on TikTok. It's very disturbing. My goal is that one day you get a notification on your phone that I forwarded you something. You are sitting on your couch with your wife. You pick up the phone. You swipe up. Face ID recognizes you, and your wife sitting next to you just sits there and does that wifey thing where she goes, wonder what he's looking at, and looks over and just is utterly disgusted by you. She sees it.
That's my goal.
She says, "Oh, that's Brian, isn't it?"
That's Brian.
Yeah.
So, well, appreciate you joining us tonight, Skylar.
Absolutely.
Where can people see you in the coming weeks and months?
They can see me. Well, I'm all over. The best way to keep track is to follow me on social. It's at Schocking, SSCHOCKING. Like you mentioned in the bio, I'm working on a one-woman show that we're going to be opening here in Vegas, and I will be performing at comedy clubs all over the country the rest of the year. So looking forward to that. Well, thanks so much, John, for having me. This was awesome.
Thanks for coming.
Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye now.
Bye.
All right. I'm glad we have these videos to look back on, because some of you at this point may have forgotten what Brian looks like. He is not been around. I hope to have him back for episode 348 next Sunday, but who can tell, really? Who can tell? But our final interview, one of our favorites that we've done. This is going back quite a ways. This is going all the way back to episode 189, where we had Alan Robert on the air, bass player for Life of Agony. He did work on the graphic novels Wire Hangers, Crawl to Me, and Killology, and of course he has his coloring book series, The Beauty of Horror. He joined us for a great conversation on music, art, NFTs, and Brian himself. We all love Brian. I give Brian a hard time, but he is my heterosexual life mate. But without further ado, going back to episode 189, here is the Ron and Brian interview of Alan Robert. All right, welcome to the show.
How do you top that? I don't think you could top that.
Alan, let me ask you a question. What are you drinking?
I went with the Stella tonight.
It's a classic. It's a standard.
You know,
good call.
I just got over COVID. This is my first beer back.
Really? Welcome. Yeah. Now, walk us through your COVID nightmare. What were your symptoms? How did you catch it? Who do we need to lay a beat down on?
I wish I knew. You know, it's just, I think everyone's getting it now. You know, I wear my mask where I'm supposed to wear my mask, and we've been super isolated and canceled Christmas and the whole thing, and still got it. So But I live to tell the tale. Wasn't so bad, you know. I'm vaccinated, and we made it through. My wife is getting over it too. Thankfully, our kid did not get it. But
Hold on a second. You're telling me that you caught it. You're telling me that your wife caught it, but your child did not.
correct. Yep.
Is it possible that she does not have the receptors? Or is it possible that she brought it into the house?
I guess anything's possible, you know, but she tested negative. So I guess it all depends on when you test and all that jazz.
Now, which kind of test did you do? You go on PCR, at home, rapid?
You know me. There's a backup for a backup for a backup, right?
Always, always. You taught me well. You taught me well, sir.
So, and I still have a little bit of cough. Basically, I had a sore throat, tired, fatigue. I actually had COVID fog. Like I did two stupid things in one day that I was just like, how the hell did that happen? You know, like I don't understand.
Was one of them agreeing to come on to the show? Was one
that
of those?
was it. That was the first
one.
one.
Okay.
And I got stuck with that obligation. So here I am. But then a sore throat, and I was like, okay, you know, maybe I should go get a test. I went to the urgent care, and the line was around the block. I mean, it was insane. It looked like The Walking Dead out there. It was just like, there's no way I'm not going to dedicate my day to this. So I ended up getting a home test from a friend, and sure enough, the home test was positive, and I was like, no way, this is impossible. You know, that's it. I grabbed my kid and I went to the paid test site, and I decided to get the rapid test and the PCR test just to be sure.
Of course.
And got my daughter a test. And all of mine were positive and hers was negative. So go figure. I have no idea how we got it.
So how long have you been battling this?
I would say right after New Year's was when I started.
So we'll call it 2 weeks at this point. You look great, by the way. And I'm not saying that to make you feel uncomfortable.
I tested negative about a week ago, I guess.
And and I guess like this, do you now feel superhuman?
I do feel a lot better going out on tour in a few days. That I got it out of the way. You know what I mean?
Good. We're moving forward. You are, as many people are aware, you are the bass player for a band called Life of Agony, a band that had a major impact on my life. And you are going out on tour very shortly, next week, correct?
Whenever the 26th is, yes.
That would be next week.
Wednesday.
Walk me through this tour, unless you prefer I do it, because it feels like I might have more information than you at this moment.
All I know is this. We were supposed to go out on the road Friday, the 13th of March, 2020. And that was the day everything shut down. It was
Yes.
We were supposed to be in Philly with Doyle, and we couldn't even load up to go to the show. Everything had shut down, and you know, we thought it was going to be like a 2-week thing delay, and here we are
going
2
to
years
flatten the
later.
curve.
And here we are. So this is our first trek back out into the world, and we're a well-oiled machine. We've been rehearsing, and it's been a lot of fun to pick up the bass again and play these songs again.
So we're sticking to the Northeast, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we were set to play some shows with Doggy Dog. I guess last year, and
in the fall.
And we were supposed to do Europe and everything, and we had to cancel all those dates. So this was our way of kind of making up for some of that. Yeah, I'm just super psyched that we're able to do it.
So we're going to hit Teaneck, New Jersey. Lovely Teaneck, New Jersey. We're hitting Broken Goblet, Ben Salem, PA. Ron, if there's anything that will get you to leave the house I know that you've been in quarantine for the past 24 months, but Broken Goblet you will come out for, correct?
We will be at that show. Ron and Brian will be in attendance.
Then we are staying in Pennsylvania. And
Wait.
we're
Are you guys going to do a live podcast from the show?
Good. They've got a very fancy backstage area. Oh, hold on a second. Why don't we do the podcast after Kings Never Die, but before Dog Eat Dog goes on? We'll just set up our laptops on the stage, do a quick, 45, 50-minute podcast. The crowd will be into it. They'll just love it. I mean, the bar sales will increase. Right?
Of course.
No. Then we're going to Stroudsburg, PA, which is what? That's in the Poconos?
It's up that way, yes.
All right. Then we're trekking all the way north, Syracuse, almost to the border. What is Syracuse known for, Ron?
It's known for the orange mint. It's called the Salt City because that's where all the salt used to be stored before it was iodized and sent out to your homes.
Then we travel all the way over to Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, Brighton Music Hall. Then trekking back into New York, the Empire State. We hit the Chance, Poughkeepsie, New York. I heard they put a lot of money into renovating that recently. Then we come down all the way to Brooklyn, your home, the motherland, Warsaw, not the one in Poland, the one in Williamsburg, on a Friday night, followed Saturday by the legendary Stone Pony in Asbury Park. What do you have lined up for the fans for this set? What are we looking for?
We actually learned some songs that we haven't played in a long ass time. Some songs that we've never played with V, and some deep cuts, man.
Have you, is there any truth to the rumor that I've been seeing on Twitter that you'll be doing a 48-minute version of Inagata-Davida?
I think that earbud got really stuck up there.
It was in the whole, do you understand the shame?
I know the problem.
The shame of having to walk around asking total strangers if they have tweezers before
Where were you? Where were you?
I was at a nursing home visiting my father. So I assumed everybody around me was a trained medical person, and none of them had tweezers. And one person looked at me and said I had to go to the emergency room because they said once it's in the ear, you don't want to lose your hearing. And I said, I've been to so many concerts, I don't care. Get this thing out. And then it finally came out. Like I see you're wearing your fashionable Apple AirPods.
Got it right this time.
Yes. So you're protected.
There's no way this is getting lost in my ear. If anything, it's falling out way too often.
Which is why I've avoided those. Where are we? In your office?
Yeah.
I've always been very key. One of my high points of this pandemic has been looking at people's backgrounds and seeing where they are.
Mm-hmm.
I like that little nook. Okay, I can visualize
where
you are.
All the magic happens.
The entrance is to your left or to the right?
To my right
is the entrance. Excellent. All right. Now let's get to the meat. The real reason you're here, which is you have recently rolled out your entree into the world of NFTs, something that you have entitled Monster Chompers. I am going on 50. I will be 50 in a few months, and I have struggled to wrap my brain around NFTs. These things did not seem to be part of the zeitgeist 18 months ago. And now it is. It seems to be the center of the art industry in terms of the direction everything is heading. And I have struggled to grasp it. I tried speaking to you about it, and I know you gave up on me. But I said, you know what? Give me another shot. Come on the show and please explain to me what is Monster Chompers and how do I get involved?
All right. Well, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
So an NFT is basically a graphic, a photo, a video, something that is minted to the blockchain. If you're talking about cryptocurrency and all that stuff, so that it's basically computed into using code into a blockchain forever, and everything that happens on this blockchain is transparent. You could see every transaction. You could see if a graphic changes hands between two different users, and it provides a certain authenticity of the data was created and every transaction moving forward. So that's basically, so think of it like for old guys like me, because I just turned 50, of collecting comics, baseball cards, signed memorabilia. Think of it like that, but a digital form that is proven authentic based on the blockchain technology.
So there is an authority that you can reach out to confirm that this is a legitimate, one-of-a-kind piece of art.
All you have to do is look up the metadata of each image that is produced, minted to the blockchain, and you can see very easily when it was created, who owns it, who created it, etc.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So you created 10,000 of these NFTs?
Correct.
That must have taken you quite a while.
Well, they're randomly generated based on the art that I supplied the company that wrote all the code. So basically, as you can see from this graphic, every creature has teeth, set of eyes, noses, mouths, different items that they're eating. So all of those were hand drawn.
Mm-hmm.
And there's maybe, I don't know, 20 to 50 different variations of each set of eyes and things. And then they're put into a program using algorithms, and it spits out randomly. This is the cool part, different percentages of rarities. So you could get one with a gold tooth, let's say that's the one that's super rare, or it's eating a certain food that is will only pop up 1 in 100.
Okay.
So those items become more rare than the rest of them, and then ultimately are worth more. They have a bigger value, just like if you found a rookie card of one of your favorite players, like let's say a Michael Jordan or somebody like that.
All righty. Okay. So now is there I was on the website earlier today. Is there a it seems like there is a story. There is it's almost like there's a restaurant theme to this.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk me through that?
Well, basically the cool part about NFTs, what's cool for me, is that it's not just buying a piece of art. There's a utility involved. It almost acts like a all access pass to other experiences. So with this case, we're creating a graphic novel that will be published, and we're getting the community involved to weigh in on certain storylines, character names, direction for where the graphic novel ultimately will go. And so if you join the community by getting a Monster Chomper, then you have a say in where the characters will take place in this world. And it's basically almost like if you ever saw The Freshman with Marlon Brando.
Yes. Great movie. Totally underrated with Matthew Broderick.
Yes. Where they had these exotic eateries that you could eat illegal foods, right?
Yes.
This is the same kind of concept, but with monsters. They're eating these pop-up eateries, open up in human restaurants in the middle of the night. They take over the restaurant. Monsters come from all over the world to eat at these dining experiences, and then they burn the place down at the end of the night. And they move from town to town to do this. And so that's what the graphic novel is about, and all these
Okay.
characters are in it.
Interesting. Now, did somebody approach you with this concept? Did you approach like how did you get involved in the NFT world?
I had no idea about NFTs except for like you guys, saw the quick headline of some NFT sold for millions of dollars. That's all I knew about them.
Yeah.
And I never got involved with cryptocurrency or anything. I never owned it. I have family members that got in early and on Bitcoin and this and that, but that I would always hear rumblings that family things. But basically, about 6 months ago, I was interested in developing a beauty of horror coloring app, and I hooked up with this digital company from Argentina, and we started to talk over Zoom during the pandemic. And actually, the owner of the company is a bass player, and we would talk about basses for a long time, and we really hit it off. And even though that the beauty of horror coloring app got put on the back burner, we started this relationship, and we really wanted to find a project that we were interested in collaborating on, and NFTs were brought up by them, and I did some research and got excited about it, and it was something that we could do together rather quickly, as long as I was able to supply them with all the artwork, which I just put my head down, and over 3 months I drew all these elements and came up with this concept.
How do you mentioned earlier that people that there are rarities? Do people know when they're getting a rarity, or is it something that they can compare to others after they purchase it? Do they get to select the one they're getting, or is it they just enter their order and one gets spit out, like you mentioned, getting opening up a pack of baseball cards?
It's just
like
like
the way
that.
it works.
Yeah, it's like if you're a Pokemon collector or a baseball card collector, you don't know what you're going to get when you mint it to the blockchain. So you could get the most rare monster chopper there is, and for the same price as you would, a general one. It's pretty fun. Some of them are animated,
Really?
some of them are static. There's all different kinds.
Now, do any of them look like me?
We could put up some side by sides and see what we got.
Do any of them wear a backpack filled with duct tape, Sharpies, and base picks?
You'll have to mint one and find out.
I'll do my best. Now, another question. These cannot be purchased with cash. You need to buy crypto. They have to be purchased in crypto, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So they're on the Ethereum blockchain. So it accepts two different crypto wallets, MetaMask and Fortmatic. And whichever one you have, you just fund those wallets, connect it to the site. It's pretty easy if you're a little familiar with crypto.
I might need some help next week.
I'll show you how to do it.
Okay, thank you very much. What else? You mentioned beauty of horror. How is that going? I heard a rumor. There was a rumor on the street that your adult horror coloring series, Beauty of Horror. Now that is the first 4. You've published 5, but I heard a rumor that you're working on number 6 also.
That is correct. Yep.
How do you do it?
I've been home for 2 years. First of all, it's a pleasure to do it. It's an absolute pleasure to be in this office and draw whatever I want, whatever comes to my mind, and be able to publish it. So grateful that Beauty of Horror number 1 became a huge hit and allowed me to continue exploring the Beauty of Horror universe and developing characters and worlds. That's something I'm passionate about. So it's an amazing experience to be able to do it continuously, and to be asked by the publisher to when's the next one coming, and there's plans for Beauty of Horror 7, and animated series and action figures and all kinds of stuff going on with Beauty of Horror. So it really is, especially, being a musician, um, being grounded, due to the pandemic, I had some creative outlet to focus on and stay positive and try and get through this crazy time, just like everybody else out there.
You kind of just you just kind of tapped on it. But all joking aside, I know I tend to kind of approach things with a sense of humor, but in all honesty, how has your pandemic been? And I say that in the sense of some people have truly suffered from having their normal life been completely disrupted. Other people I know have described it as some of the best 2 years of their life to be not forced to go into an office or to be able to spend more quality time with their family and whatnot. Not to say that we are outside of the pandemic or ending the pandemic, but how's your experience been?
I gotta say, being an introvert, it hasn't been too bad, except for the anxiety of like going out into the world and fearing that I'm gonna bring this virus back home to my wife, who has some underlying conditions. That's been like the big fear of like trying to keep it out of my house. So like in the very beginning, I was all, gloves and masks and double masks and really trying to do my best to just keep it out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately we got it. And we're here to tell the tale, but we lost some family members along the way, and like a lot of people we know. And the band was sidelined. Thankfully we were able to channel some energy together remotely and finish up the documentary that we were working on and do that director's cut screening that we did last year. We raised a bunch of money for charities, which was great. So we were able to kind of do our thing from our own different places safely, but yeah, it's been challenging, man. It's been challenging. I'm super grateful that I was able to work on the books and the NFT stuff, and artwork for Pantera during the break, and now getting back to real life. I feel like we're finally coming out of it a little bit.
Oh, we're very close. You mentioned the documentary that you put out, which came out. What was it? It was on last year. It was available for streaming. Sound of Scars. Look at that. Look at that artwork. So incredible. Whoever did that artwork should get a promotion, a raise, and some acknowledgement. What are the plans for this documentary? I know that what you and I had talked about it. You've been talking about putting it through some film festivals, whatnot. Obviously, all that got squashed with the pandemic. Nobody was doing film festivals, so you guys put it out yourselves. It seemed to get a lot of incredible feedback. I know even Ron watched it.
I did. I'm not. I wasn't too familiar with the band prior, but it was a fantastic documentary.
Thank you.
So what are your plans for it now? Because it has to have more life to it. There's no way that that we can walk away with it streaming for a couple days.
Yeah, well, that was really just to get some feedback and to raise money for charity and finish the film. And that was a great experience too. It gave us a highlight during the lockdown. It was like everyone was home anyway, might as well watch something cool and interesting story. And I have to give a lot of credit to Lee Brooks, the director, who really put endless hours, not only flying over to America to interview our families and follow us around on tour, and his crew, Richard Lynch and others that just gave up so much time and energy to make it happen. I can't let too much out of the bag, but I can say that it did find a home, and that will be announced really, really soon.
Excellent. Is it, are the rumors true that the interview that I gave will be part of the this new special edition remix?
I haven't seen that yet, but I'm hoping for it. But I can tell you that when it does come out on Blu-ray, it will be available online and streaming as well. But when it does come out on Blu-ray, it will have something like 45 to 50 extra minutes of footage.
Which is interesting because my interview was between 45 and 50 minutes. So I am honored. I am truly honored that you decided to air my entire interview with Libra just as in its entirety. I mean, I'm touched.
Now, Brian's too humble to bring this up, but he did. Apparently, Brian did background vocals on your Spoiler NYC album. Were they the best vocals you've ever been part of?
In all my years of recording, I have to say he didn't miss one note.
It was wonderful. It was the highlight of my life. I mean, I've been married, I've been divorced, I've had some ups, I've had some downs, and that Spoiler record. Those actually, all joking aside, those were a lot of fun days.
I agree.
Anything else you would like to add? Because this has been awesome having you aboard, but I'm not sure you want to stick. Do you want to stick around while we spend 20 minutes talking about COVID?
Is that the plan?
That is our plan. We've got about 20, 25 minutes left in this show. We have so much COVID to talk about.
I think I will watch it like everybody else, and maybe I'll chime in on the chat.
Then I'm going to say this. Thank you so much for joining us, Alan Robert. It has been a pleasure. I have not seen you in person in many months. I look forward to seeing you very soon.
Bring your duct tape, your paper,
I will.
Everything in that backpack that I depend on dearly. Do all those Sharpies work, though? Come on.
I'm ordering new ones.
Get on top of it, Brian. You've had 2 years to get new Sharpies.
I'm on it.
Last time was like amateur hour last time.
It was bad. We will do better this time. Thank you so much for joining us, Al.
Thank you.
I love you. And I look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, guys. Great seeing you.
Thank
Be
you.
good.
Fantastic interview there with Alan Robert. Wrapping up this Best of Ron and Brian, the interviews. Thanks to those who have joined us. For those of you who may not know by this point, we do have a Patreon. Usually every Sunday night, we would be doing an After Dark episode included for our Patreon members. Brian is persona non grata, so we will be skipping that this week, but hopefully next Sunday night, we will be back live for not just the podcast, but for After Dark as well. If you would like to join our Patreon, get some great swag, and get access to the After Dark, either the audio or the live video, go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, click in the upper right-hand corner, and become a patron. And be one of the cool kids. We look forward to seeing you either on the Patreon or on the podcast. Either way, we will see you again next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again next week.